You know when you get one of those projects where nothing goes right? Well, this table here is one of them. Well, this table here was, believe it or not, I don't know who would actually build a massive table as a trial, but this table here was a trial for something I want to do a little bit later. I'm planning on doing up my kitchen and I wanted to make up some concrete bench tops. So I figured I need an outdoor table anyway, so I'll make an outdoor concrete dining table. So this is pretty much how it happened.
So the mold that I've got here is a very simple melamine mold. There's nothing particularly tricky about it, but I built the table underneath it in a previous video. Have a check back, it is the massive vibrating table. And basically what underneath it there is a bench angle grinder that has a weight on it that makes it vibrate like crazy. So I've got that underneath the table and that should get all the bubbles and everything out of it. And then it's just a matter of sealing up the edges, hot glue around the sides, and everything goes in there according to plan. But building the table was one of the first things that went wrong.
I'd rather fall than watch you fly. Sing hallelujah by and by. Mississippi, hold me, keep me safe from the shame. Sing me songs of hallelujah with the hatred in your veins. Did we forget the price we paid? Why do we keep on resisting?
So first thing I'm doing here is making up the top layer of concrete, so the visible layer of concrete that I can colour. And this is a basic sand, cement and black oxide colouring, just to give it a really nice black texture, because I don't really like the grey normal colour of it.
I clench my fist and toe the line. As six the skin across my eyes. Sing hallelujah by and by. I'd rather fall than watch you fly. Sing hallelujah by and by.
Now you can see here that I am turning on my massive vibrating table, and this is where the first cock-up came. I had it secured underneath with some screws, and after it vibrated for about a minute or two, the bottom of it fell off and it started rattling like crazy underneath the table and broke. So I started tapping it underneath and hopefully that was enough. And here is the second one. I thought this would provide a little bit of support to it. It's fiberglass that I'm pushing through and matting through. I was hoping the concrete would get all up and through it, but it ended up just creating a second layer of fiberglass over the top, which wasn't fantastic. Now, for the internal layers, I've made up concrete and sand and added fiberglass to that. So the fiberglass chopped strand is supposed to add a lot of strength to the mixture, and be honest, it did. It's a very strong mixture when it's doing it, but I was a bit of a twit because I'm a little bit paranoid about the weight that would go into it, so I didn't put as much in the middle and around the edges. So I built it up around the edges and then had it a little bit thinner in between the other sides, which was a massive mistake. If I go back, I'll whack myself over the head and say, come on, do it properly. More concrete, stuff the weight.
Sing hallelujah by and by. 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 Sing hallelujah by and do I need to remind you? You ain't no fool to no fool. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I think I know everything. Yeah, I'm choking on words I can't say. They're filling my throat and it's killing me. From the white in my eyes to the black of my soul.
It was right about here that my wife walked in, and the conversation went a little bit like this. Colin, why didn't you ask for help? I'm like, I thought it'd be alright, didn't look that heavy. Really, it's concrete. And then she helped me, which I'm grateful about, and watch my camera just go 5, 4, 3, 2, boom. It didn't get hurt though, which very, very lucky because it's not a cheap camera. Now, one thing that I wanted to build into it was a heating system, because it can actually get a little bit cold in Australia at night, surprisingly enough. So I built in little supports that the gas bottle could fit into, and then it didn't fit a little bit later, which I'll go into a little bit later, but it actually works quite well now.
Well, I cooked up a little bit with it. I tried to move it into place. I got it on the base and I was going to move it in there. I did it all off camera, but discovered that the middle bit banged in a little bit. So there's a big ass crack down the middle of it. So I am going to flip it upside down, put some more reinforcing concrete underneath it, grind out this, fill it up with more concrete, and hopefully it'll come out well. Fingers crossed anyway.
Now, biggest mistake of the whole thing I did right here. You see how I'm creating a shitload of dust on it? And putting the concrete down, I did not clean off that dust properly, which is what I think caused the biggest cock up of the whole thing, which is coming very, very shortly. I usually cut out these bits, but I thought I'd leave it in to show how freaking heavy this thing is, and I was home alone at the stage, so brute force had to work. And prepare yourself for my mad tantrum hammer.
Well, I was all shook up in the middle of Memphis.
Okay, it was about this point that I was deciding if I should scrap the entire thing or try and make it work. So I decided I need to cut more out of the middle and create another new layer inside of it and hopefully make it a hell of a lot stronger, put some reinforcing bar between the middle, and just hope like hell that it would actually work a lot better. So I salvaged a few of the thicker bits from the edges, put another layer of darker concrete, and I had some leftover tube steel, so I embedded that inside of the concrete and then a hell of a lot more fiberglass imbued concrete over the top. I went around every single edge and went a bit further than you can actually see in this video. So I made it a hell of a lot thicker, probably about an inch thicker than it needed to be, but I wasn't game to let it go any thinner at this stage.
She told me in confidence I was looking out for lipstick. I don't wanna die in Tennessee. I wanna be different. Well, I saw her at a show and she asked if I was high, if I'd never met a beauty queen. Hey, I was running out of blow and my gun went off.
And yes, this is the scariest butt wobble in history. Check it out. Wobble, wobble, wobble. But it didn't fall, so I was happy. Now here you can actually see the difference that the concrete vibrating table makes to it. Hold on, I'll slow it down a little bit so you can see better. But the one on the left is the vibrating table and the one on the right is the bit that didn't have the vibrating table, and you can see all the extra holes and everything inside of it. So had a bit of grind, filled up the extra cracks with some more cement, and started grinding all that stuff down. Now, I took off all the outer layer, the really top layer of the cement, so I could expose a little bit of the aggregate underneath, and then it's time for polishing. These ones are actually the really good concrete marble polishing pads that you can get. There are some really cheap ones that you buy off eBay, but they'll die within about a metre, if that. And these ones went through the entire thing, and you couldn't even notice any difference inside of it. But there's several different grits. It goes up to about 3,000 grits, and it brought it up to pretty much a mirror shine, which I was very happy with. It's a long, slow process, and I got soaked doing it, but it really brings out the wow factor inside of it. It shows all the concrete aggregate up, and it gives it a really nice flat surface. Now, the finish with the concrete sealer, I really wasn't that happy with it. I suppose I'm used to polyurethanes or car polishers or something, so I got out a cutting compound which is used on cars and just gave it all a big buff back, which made it a lot smoother and a lot flatter and a lot more reflective, which I was quite happy with. And then it was time for a bit of speed wax, which just goes inside of all the little fine scratches that the cutting compound makes up and makes it all so shiny and so pretty. And lucky last mistake of the whole thing. I swear I measured it, but I felt like I was sitting on a giant's table when we were sitting on top of it, so it was a little bit too high. So luckily it's easy to chop it a little bit off, so I jacked it up and then cut a little bit of the grinding off.
Now this table, to be honest, I actually quite like how it's turned out. It's a talking point basically. You can see the different textures and the different concrete and all that sort of stuff that's inside of it, the different colors. And I had a whole lot of friends around for dinner and it was actually quite a hit. I've jumped up and down on top of it and it doesn't break and it doesn't do anything like that. So I have learned a couple lessons in making this one, which will come out very handy when I do the inside. Concrete, don't skimp on how thick it is because it needs to be thicker. Write down your measurements for how much concrete, the colouring and everything that goes inside of it, so you don't have one bench top that's one colour and the other one that's the other colour. And they are freaking heavy, so work out a better way to move them around because I ended up cracking a few of the corners when I was moving it around and those sort of silly things. So I hope you guys got something out of this and keep tuned for projects coming up. And like I say, I have the kitchen coming up, which will be these sort of concrete bench tops, but hopefully a hell of a lot better. So I'll see you guys next time and thanks for subscribing.